afternoon, everybody, and thank you IIT University for having me over here. I don't have much to present, but whatever I've experienced through my years or decades of working in the enterprises and on my startup journey, I'm going to share that. So I just call it as P-3 Way to Innovation, which is play, pilot, and production. Me passing out from IIT Delhi, because I was coming to university, it reminded me of my days at university. We had, apart from studies, we had a lot of fun together. But these days, most of my fun is with my daughter. She's the boss of the house, as you can see. I was the boss of the house. And we have a lot of fun time together. She likes magic a lot. And that's on one of her birthdays, dressed as Harry Potter, right? And she made me buy some magic kits also. And I think, playing around with ideas is also sometimes creating magic. If you look at a lot of innovations that have happened in the world, I remember during our school days, there used to be very famous series called Star Trek. And one of the key things kids used to play with, take a box and pretend that, they're talking on mobile phones, which, the astronauts on the Star Trek series used to do. And it was never thought that this kind of a thing will become possible on the planet one day. Today, everybody carries a phone, and we have astronauts like people moving around. All right, so since I was talking about my daughter and playing, and everybody will recall, school days and playing with paper planes, right? Now, it's very interesting that at some point of time, there were two brothers who probably also played with these kind of paper planes, and but at that point of time, the most common mode of transportation was bicycles, right? And they had a bicycle repairing shop, and these brothers were called Wright Brothers, and they had a company called Wright Brothers Cycle Company. But they carried their passion of flying forward, right? And eventually, they piloted the earliest model of flying plane. And this was the moment where humans started to fly using machines. And all the way to production, where we have modern day jets today. We fly from one place to another in just few hours or few minutes, right? And if you look at some of the most promising tech that is coming in space, we are now talking about making moon our landing base and all the way going to Mars. So tech is moving at a very fast pace. All right, so much so, let's talk about the financials of this industry now. If you look at the largest airlines by market cap, we have around $339 billion, right? And if you look at largest airport companies by market cap, it's around $150 billion, and largest aircraft manufacturers by market cap, it's around $400 billion. Almost a $1 trillion market capitalization created by the idea of flying paper planes, right? All right, moving on. So most of you, must be thinking, and I used to think a lot since my childhood, that what can I create? But many a times, the hidden question is, can I create? You have that element of doubt, right? And some of the people cross that chasm, right, and move on to create something. Some just keep on revolving around that only, right? But let me share one interesting story while playing with my daughter on one of the days. She was, I think, around 4 or 5 years old, and we were putting this air conditioner in our house. And this is not the window air conditioner, but the split air conditioner, where we have an external unit, the condensing unit, and the internal unit, which is the fan unit, right? You would have seen, most of you, right? So, and it comes packed in cartons, right? So one is a bigger, carton, and there is a smaller carton, right? So once the installation was done, these cartons were lying, and they were to be trashed away, right? But then, we used to play around with a lot of stuff. So I thought, let's do some creative work with these cartons, right, along with my daughter. So what we created was this dollhouse, right? So as you can see, the bottom portion is the condensing unit. We cut and folded it inside, and then the internal unit carton, we basically made the canopy, and it looked like nice dollhouse and covered with chart paper, right? So much so that people were really fascinated who came to our house, and my daughter was also fascinated. And we then got a carpenter and built an actual, dollhouse, right, which has this whole, units and 2 minarets and, some stuff to kind of store at the bottom, right. So from, waste, right, we, thought of a shape to create, which was a dollhouse, and then all the way to basically make it, right, a production class. Some people also, when I post on Facebook, say, do you take orders? So that is, one thing I want to share with everybody, that, pick up any waste packaging, think of the shape that you want to create, and use the waste to make some shape. Okay. Now, that was creating work from the waste, prototyping from packages and packaging. All right, so one of the techniques that has always worked for me is in my corporate career is a technique called IPSOVI. Right? Now, IPSOVI as an acronym I created, where I stands for idea, right? That, you can get started with any idea. So I'll share one example. Once I had an idea that the industry required skill training for free, right? Now, the idea was that basically all the graduating people, right, all the people who are in their corporate careers, when they want to move up the ladder or get new jobs, the industry seeks skilled people, right? But for example, because most of you are from computer science background over here, for example, the industry may be looking for Node.js skills or Angular skills, right, and so on and so forth. But the kids graduating sometimes don't have the latest, technical skills which are required in the industry. So I said, let me basically give those skills for free and start to basically get them placed in the organizations. But the problem was that everybody chased jobs more than the skills. And whenever I used to basically coach and mentor them, they realized that, and the people in India and abroad that I coach and mentor, they were able to understand that, and then start to work on the skills and land up in good jobs, right? So that worked very well. And so obviously the solution was help understand skills are more important, and the value is that the jobs will follow. And implementation that I did was that I can only reach out to limited number of people, right? So how can we scale up this whole idea, right, and bring more people into on a platform where the aspiring candidates meet the experts, right, and then they get coached and mentored by these people via mock interviews, right, from the experts. And that will help them identify skill gaps for aspirations, for aspired jobs. And that led me to create a platform called bookmyinterview.in with the tagline, practice makes perfect. Now, if I basically move forward, we launched this in 2014. I kept on dabbling with this idea for some time and then exited. But this industry, if you look at the global online recruitment market size was 28.68 billion in 2019, projected to reach 43.39 billion by 2027 at a CAGR of 7.1%. And if you look at this graph below, the cumulative funding in this area has gone, in 2019, the latest figure that I had was 5 billion plus, but it has been growing. And the very ideas that we have started in 2014, there have been multiple clones, to the extent that some of them have been valued at $1 billion and reached the unicorn status, right? So that is the power of idea and pursuing the ideas, that you can create so much of value. So moving forward, here is a guy, kid who also was very playful during his childhood. He grew up in this neighborhood in the picture above, and there were a lot of semiconductor engineers around that place. So much so that this place was popularly at that point of time referred to as Silicon Valley, and even today we call it as Silicon Valley, right? And so he, frequently played pranks with other elementary school kids, and he was very fond of playing around with electronics, right? And he piloted various projects and gadgets along with his friend. So much so, at the age of 13, he cold called Bill Hewitt of Hewlett Packard, the printers, famous printers that you see, right, for parts for his electronic projects. And he was, Bill Hewlett was so impressed that he offered him internship in his company, right? Moving forward, if you look at one of the ideas that he worked on was that how can we put 1,000 songs in, a pocket of a person, right? And the problem that he had is how to make it legal, because there were solutions, right? Everybody knows about MP3 files. That was a hit at that point of time. Napster was one of the solutions where peer-to-peer sharing was there, but it was all illegal actually, right? So how to make it legal? And the solution he thought was that we should have a really sleek, high fidelity small device and a software to legally buy the songs. So he tied up with all the music industry, record playing companies, music companies, and made it possible to buy the songs legally. And value was you can carry the whole music library on the move. This was not thought of earlier, because you used to have LPs or you had these cassettes. I don't know how many of you know about it now, right? They are more of a museum stuff. Okay. So the implementation was he created a device called iPod and iTunes, right? On the upper side you can see iPod, and the below you see iTunes. iTunes made it possible to buy songs legally actually, right? And iPod, we all know, is one of the most successful electronics devices that ever got rolled out. Now, if you move forward, he co-created one of the earliest computers. He founded a company called Apple, right, with the logo of Think Different. And it has been one of the most innovative company in the world. They created Apple I, II, Mac, iMac, iPod, iPad, iPhone, watch. And this is the first company in the history of human history to cross $1 trillion mark, right? So imagine the power of idea. We were talking about, planes, where the whole industry was 1 trillion. Here, just one company, right, with a kid, playing around and dabbling with ideas, creating such powerful products, so much so that the company got valued at $1 trillion. Amazing stuff. So, with that thought, in line with the theme of this presentation, I'd like to leave you with a note that just whatever ideas that you have, play it out. And now we have ChatGPT 4. Just type your idea over there and get started. Thank you so much for having me.